Hi, this is our video for ERS. The subject that my group chose is climate change and sustainability. Our group members are Hannah, Peter, Babette, me, Cansu, and Kaiyue. Okay, so the contents. What we are going to discuss is ethical perspectives, the stakeholders analysis, impact on small businesses, sustainable development goals that being violated, actions against climate change, triple bottom line, and references. Timestamps you're going to leave out. Introduction. The topic that my group chose, like you heard in the beginning, is climate change and sustainability. The documentary that we chose that we found most suitable for our topic is The Race is On. The reason why we chose this topic and documentary is because we as a group found this particular subject very important and interesting. It's also one of the most relevant subjects in the last couple of years and even decades. We were able to use a lot of reliable sources for information about the subject, since there's been a lot of studies about climate change and how to fight it. The underlying message of the title from the documentary made sense after watching it. As we started to apply the theories that we found relevant enough from the documentary, we came to realization of what the storyline was about. It involves the whole world, the race against environmental destruction, from humans to animals to nature and population. The most horrifying fact is that even if we want to make a change, we barely have any time to do so.
Okay, the three ethical perspectives. We've applied three major ethical perspectives to the cases shown in the documentary. The first one is utilitarianism. And this ethical perspective prioritizes the greatest happiness for the greatest number. This means that we should make decisions that will give the best outcome for our society and the environment we live in. Climate change plays a critical role in this. Since we are aware of climate change and how it negatively impacts various environments and societies in the world, and also the future of our generations to come. In order to get the greatest happiness for the greatest number, we should find an ethical solution that results in making as many people happy as possible. There's an example of a case in the documentary, which is the Paris Climate Agreement, which focuses on reducing carbon distribution in order to stop the increase of the global temperature. The second ethical perspective, which is Kantianism or categorical imperative. This ethical perspective is Kant's theory that means that telling the truth, no matter what, and no matter the cost, is important, because in the end you will have a peaceful mind. It's also called the principle of morality, because what you do, you should think it as in a way where what you do should be correct, and do you want other people to do the same as you. So in the documentary they talk about the climate change and how some orientations and some of the orientations you could do to prevent climate change, and how organizations should tell the truth about climate change because it's the right thing to do. The last ethical perspective is Aristotle's virtual ethics. Aristotle's virtues are divided into 11 virtues. So Aristotle's perspective on ethics was based on the virtue of being human and bringing the best out of yourself and your potential to grow. And according to the documentary, society can only achieve these virtues by learning and doing what is right for society, and finding a sustainable way to continue the economy and society and the way of survival. And yeah, that's it.
I will talk now about the function of the stakeholder in the climate change. Who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders mean strategically and describe a person or group that has a interest in a company, business, or sector, whether or not they have made a investment in them. Stake means interest or taking risks, and on the other hand, means the person who owns the shares. The term stakeholders encompasses a variety of society. Stakeholders are customers, shareholders, employees, and communities with a vested interest in a company strategies. They can also be governments or non-governmental organizations, suppliers, and nowadays, the term sustainability has affected big corporations and society worldwide. All of these individuals are affected by the company and also by the company policy related to sustainability. Efforts to counter the consequences in our modern society. Besides that, those efforts affect society as a whole, and the global environment, as we know, is affected or by the stakeholders, and also include individuals of society. And these individuals are affected by the multinational corporations and sustainability efforts, such as the improvement of your environment or natural resource reserves. In that case, stakeholders try to help society as much as they can. They have the abilities and power that are beneficial or benefic to the society in general. Stakeholders can help in motivating business and companies to take more risks for a better environment to everyone. And also, I would like to talk about the impact of climate change, this topic into the small business. As you know, climate change had two big important agreements in the past years. We had the Kyoto treatment, and that was a meeting in Japan, where they I think that the 10 most biggest GDP in the world, they stated on a agreement where the factories or industries couldn't release more CO2 emissions into the atmosphere. For example, in China, that was the percentage for reduce the CO2 emission was, I think that it was 22% or 20%. In France, it was 60% or 18%, and in the United States, it was 21%. But as we can see, the Kyoto treatment didn't work, and we had a new agreement, and that was the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement stated that the government should invest the money on part of the GDP, 2% or 3%, in the new form of energy, sustainable energy, where the countries wouldn't need more the traditional method of it to energy to supply the population or society. But as we can see, some small business can be affected by this agreement or new rules because these rules didn't cover the small industries or business, and then we can exterminate these small business or industries where only the biggest corporations or factories will earn in this race. For example, I don't know, I think that it is more related to big farm, big industries, and big food industries where they can afford because they have a lot of money, but the small business don't have money to invest in your projects. So we will move to the next slide. Next slide.
Yeah, as we know, the Sustainable Development Goals are a call for action by all countries. Their goals is to transform our world into a better world. But here in climate change situations, we have some sustainable development goals that could be violated. For example, the goal 1, no poverty, goal 2, zero hunger, and also the goal 3, good health and well-being, as well as goal 8, decent work and economic growth. This is because as human beings, we need to satisfy our basic needs And also we have the right to build up or to help with people's water resources, education or housing, or many aspects in our life. But all of this will depend on the climate, the stable climate, and also the health of the planet. And so that means if we don't protect our living planet well, then maybe we wouldn't have a chance to satisfy our own needs. And also it could be very challengeable to have a thriving economy in our society. And next slide, please. And besides, we also have another two goals that could be violated. They are life below water, the goal 14, and the goal 15, life on land. This is because, of course, apart from human beings, there are also other lives in the water or on the land could be highly influenced by climate change. In our documentary, it has been mentioned that if we trap more energy from the sun, or if we release more greenhouse gases in the air, then our planet could respond with extreme weathers, or the rising of sea level, or some phenomena that we have already seen in our life, such as floods in some places or droughts in somewhere on this earth. So that means apart from human beings, also other lives could be negatively influenced by climate change. Next slide, please. And additionally, climate change could also violate the goal 10, reduce inequalities, and also the goal 16. The previous slide, please. I haven't finished that one. 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions. This is because in our documentary, we have been told that if we don't do anything, the planet could be, let's say, unable to feed such a big population, and even cause, let's say, people's wars over the resources. That could destroy the peace and justice on our planet, and also lead to a turbulent future for all of the human beings. In that case, the equity is very difficult to be achieved in our society. Next slide. But as we see, and also it has been mentioned in the documentary, our society already took some actions. For example, the Paris Climate Agreement, which is aiming to limit global temperature increase below 2 degrees, and also UK's zero carbon Britain, which is trying to use more renewable energy and creating new energy strategy. And apart from some actions taken by the government, some communities and some people, ordinary people, they're trying to work at a neighborhood level, such as adjusting their eating habit, and also to participate in some activities, trying to do some positive activities or contributions for the climate change situation. And so therefore we can see the need to confront the climate crisis could also be seen as an opportunity to deal with the global issue and to achieve our sustainable development goals. Yeah, that's it. Next slide.
So for Triple Bottom Line, we're going to have a look at IKEA. IKEA is well known as one of the biggest furniture warehouses in the world, and it caters to affordable and modern furniture to the general public. Because IKEA is such a big chain store, most people do not expect IKEA to be really environmentally friendly, but this is actually the opposite. Economically, IKEA is doing very well. According to their website, their retail sales grew up to 41.3 billion euros in 2019, which makes it the world's largest furniture retailer. They employ around 160,000 employees, And in 2019, they paid around 301 million euros in taxes. On the social area of the spectrum, IKEA is also doing rather good. IKEA tries everything. They try everything to keep the prices low, so almost everybody can afford to buy their products. For example, they sell their furniture ready to assemble, so the shipping costs less, and people don't have to pay money for their furniture to be assembled and put together. IKEA also has its own charity called the IKEA Foundation, a charitable foundation that focuses on children in third world countries. And they also donate to other countries such as UNICEF and Save the Children to fight for children's rights. Another good thing to mention is that IKEA is doing a lot to be as inclusive as they can be. They do this by openly showing support to the LGBTQ community, making sure that every employee is accepted and respected for who they are, and their managers are consisting for about 50% of women, and showing a lot of different types of people in their advertising
In
campaigns.
the environmental impact, IKEA also tries to improve their impact on the environment. You guys can see the examples on my piece. Like, we got a little bit short time, so I will finish it up soon faster. According to their website, they actually work to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, for example, by using modern shipping vehicles that are better for environment and packaging those vehicles as full as they can, so they can have to drive as less as possible. They also state that they aim to improve overall energy efficiency by 25% to compared to 2005. One of the ways they plan to do this is by installing solar panels to around 150 stores and distribution centers in the next couple of years. In conclusion, IKEA does a lot to be as environmental friendly as possible they can. Next slide, please. We were
Um,
like showing you the, go back one slide. This is like a short a few of the timestamps we use, but like I said before, we have a little bit short time, so you can guys can look it up, look and see it now. And we can go to the next slide now.
these are the references we use to gather the information that we just told in our presentation. So I think that's it, right?
Yes, that's it. Thank you for looking at our video. Like you saw in the video, it's about climate change. And yeah, what's your opinion, Babette, about climate change? And why do you think that?
I think climate change is very real and it's a very important issue because 2019 was the second warmest year on record. And they also did some studies and they found that the 5 warmest years from since 1880 until 2019 have all occurred since 2015. So you can see that climate change is actually affecting us.
Okay. And Peter, what do you think about climate change?
Well, I think that climate change is a delicate topic to talk about because we have some people that agree and other people that disagree with this. But in my opinion, I think that the topic is very important, but I don't know, it's so delicate because it can also affect your economy. Because if you take it so serious, and I think that if you take it really fast, I think that it can affect also your economy and environment. For example, if you put everyone, we will have own electric cars now. We will, for example, only share sustainable energy at the moment and in a quick way. I think that it could affect everyone's life, and I think that we could do this gradually. I think that we could do this step per step. We must wait. I think that is the most important now is the long term, because yes, climate change is real, but I think that we must do this in a way that will not affect people that agree and the other people that disagree with this.
Okay, and Kaiyue, what do you think about it?
I think climate change is really an important issue happened not recently, so all the way, especially recently because of human activities. I think basically it influences many aspects of our life, housing, our the access to clean water, and also like Peter mentioned the economy. Yes, and as we see, we already experiencing some like the sea level rising, and extreme weather, heat waves, or destructive storms. It happens many places in this world. So I think it's a big issue, and also apart from what we can see from news and from what happened in our daily lives, I think climate change can also cause some severe consequences.
Yes.
Yeah, such as how to say, like a war. Yeah, it sounds like a strange, but image if it's getting worse and people can't access to the equal resources, natural resources. And so it could be international wars over resources. It could destroy the peace and the justice on our planet, and maybe contribute to a turbulent future for all of human beings. So yeah, I think it's quite a serious issue for all of human beings.
Okay. Well, if we ask for my opinion, I think it's a really important matter to look into because, like Kaiyue said, the sea levels are rising, and living in the Netherlands is really dangerous because we live under the sea level. But also, it's very bad for the nature, for the animals, and I could go on because the fires that it comes with, clean drinking water is already really hard in a lot of countries, and when everything is like yeah, I don't exactly know how to call it, but when it's really hot, the water is like in the air, so it's not good because it's really hard to come to clean drinking water. And yeah, I think everybody should consider to take actions because it's for the future too, it's not for now, and if we don't do anything about it now, the future could depend really on it. A lot of things you can't do anymore or can't live on the areas we live in right now. So I think it's important that people are aware of our subject.
Okay, so my opinion on climate change is that it's a very urgent and serious matter. And just like the title of the video of the presentation we have is that there is a race and that we have limited time. So we should find ways to individually do something about climate change and also for government to take action and other organizations. Yeah, that's kind of my opinion on what climate change is and how urgent.
And if we ask our audience,
Actually agree with everything you say. I feel like it's a huge issue, not only for us, but for our future generations. And I believe the government and corporations are not doing enough to better their policies for climate change. So yeah, I actually agree with everything you said.
And so about not taking enough action, do you think have you already seen like examples of other countries or organizations taking action, or even individuals showing initiative for plans?
Yeah, I have seen a lot of change with individuals. On my last internship, they actually changed all the garbage cans into one garbage can is for plastic, the other one is for paper, so that they can recycle it. So I feel like in that way things are kind of changing, but however, I feel like they're not changing enough and fast enough to really make a difference. Because I believe it's really the bigger corporations that are the issue here. And for example, cars, the thing that comes out of cars, it's very, yeah, it's not good for the environment at all. And I feel like the government isn't pushing the, the electronic cars enough and stuff like that. So it's kind of moving too slowly for my liking.
That the race is really going slow, and that trying to catch up or really take enough action in time is going to take too long at this rate. Yeah.
Georgie, what do you think?
Yes, thank you. If I reflect upon myself, I think that climate change is true, and if we look at it, I think we as human beings are like the reason why there is climate change, the cause of the climate change, of course. We burn fossils, we produce carbon dioxide, so we exploit toxic gases, and so on. So I think if we look at it, if we have to look at the center of the problem of climate change, it is us people ourselves.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I think, just as Kaiyue mentioned, it's not something for only now, but also for in the future, for our generations after us. So yeah, I think that we should strongly handle now in this time of period, especially now as we see that a lot of bad things are happening in the world concerning climate change. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. And Numidia, if we ask for your opinion, what do you think about it?
Okay, you hear me. I personally think people are not aware of this problem because it is something in the future. So people mostly don't look at what the problem is now. They look at what the problem is now, but they don't look further. So I think people should really consider thinking about the future and about the climate and about the environment. And my question to you is, what can we do to change?
Well, that was going to be my next question also, what we do about to prevent it, but I will come back to that later. Is that okay? Okay. And Georgina, last but not least, what's your opinion about it?
I kind of agree with new media. I don't think people take it as seriously as they should, because right now they only experience the weather getting hotter and ice melting, but I don't think a lot of people see the weather getting hotter during summer as a bad thing, so they don't take it as seriously as they should. But personally, I do think climate change is a really big problem, and we should take action right now to save the future.
Okay, well, thank you for your opinion. Like the media said, what do we do to prevent it? A lot of companies, high-end brands, are separating their waste, recycling their used products or used like the basics, what they start with using the product, or electric cars, or people like with meat, people like eat less meat. There's like a lot to come back to when we look at doing something about climate change. And my next question to everybody is going to be, what do you do to prevent climate change? And I will first give my answer. What I do to prevent climate change, I like look into separating my waste. Like if I have paper, I throw it in a paper bag. If I have plastic, I throw it in a plastic bag. And I think every small bit is helping, because with little steps you come really far, and I think if everybody did it, a lot could be prevented. Babette, what do you think, or what do you do, sorry, about climate change?
Well, I also separate my waste, and my house, we use clean energy from like wind energy and solar energy. So I think that's pretty important too.
Okay. And Kaiyue, what do you do about it?
Yeah, I'm just like you. I try to classify my waste, and here in Utrecht, they have some regulations to collect the waste according to their different cans. So I think this is very good. And also, when I'm buying a product, I look at its material. If it's more environmental friendly, then I am more likely to purchase this kind of product. And then apart from myself, I also see my friends that they're doing the same. They also notice that our eating habit could also influence the climate change, like the lamb and the beef, this kind of meat. They actually have more negative influence on the climate change. And apart from people, I think the government is also doing something like a Paris climate agreement. Yes, so it's they reached agreement to limit the global temperature increase well below 2 degree. So I think this is very good.
So if I understand correctly, you also look into your purchases when you buy things, if it's
Yeah.
good. Okay, well, that's good to hear. And Hannah, I saw that you joined. What do you do to prevent climate change?
I prevent using plastic bottles or anything that I have to throw away when I go outside. So I just use reusable things that I can wash later back at home.
Okay.
Yeah, other than that, we've also looked at what we buy every week and reduced buying too much.
Well, that's good. Anything else?
I guess also make food more ourselves instead of buying too much or making too much. So we try to keep the portions low, not to reuse things or ingredients or stuff like that. And we also try to use less water when we clean ourselves, like taking a shower.
Well, very good. And Peter, what do you do to prevent it?
I try, for example, I separate my waste and I put it in the correct bag or containers. And I think that it is very helpful. But also I try not to waste water when I take a shower. And well, I think that is the most important also is you to explain the situation about climate change to your family and friends, because sometimes your family or friends, they don't care about or they are not aware about the situation, and they some of them think that it is a myth or it is a conspiracy, political conspiracy, or it is a political debate. But no, but it's not true. It is, well, at the moment is we are seeing that we are having a hurricane, iceberg, the problem in Antarctica, animals or face the problem. We have seen the problem in Australia, and also we have seen I don't know, the fire in California. And I think that it is more related to climate change. And I think that everyone would be aware about this situation and take their own responsibility.
Okay, well, I also forgot to put in that you could recycle, because I like recycle my old clothes or bring my own bags to the store, like that are also small bits that help. And if we ask our audience, Georgina, what do you do to prevent it?
I'm trying to take shorter showers so I don't waste as much of water, and don't really use one single-use item, so such as plastic bottles or pre-packaged food, and always keep a reusable bag on me so I don't have to buy any plastic bags.
Okay, well, very good. And Numidia, what do you do?
I mostly buy bio products and I separate my garbage. And also when I see somebody throw things on the ground or something, I usually, when I see it, I pick it up and I throw it away.
Okay, well, that's something new that you added. Very well. And our last question is, do we really believe in climate change, or do we think it's like something the government is making up? Hannah, what do you think?
Climate change is very real, with the example Peter has given and others, with like how it has changed our environment already and has caused numerous problems with forest fires, increasing the increase in the temperature. So yeah, climate change is really serious, and the fact that there really is a race going on for us to save our planet and to keep it as well as possible with all the natural resources it gives. So it's really important we protect our environment and protect the world.
Okay, great. And Babette, what do you think? Is it real?
Well, just like Hannah said, I think it's very serious. And also, it can be scientifically measured because scientists say like the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere was the highest it has ever been in 2020. So I think it's very real.
Okay, and Kaiyue, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a massive, serious issue in our society, and also as a student studying international business, we need to consider how to do some positive things that have good influence on our environment. Because we all heard about effect of butterflies, and also the tragedy of commons. If all of us don't really take it serious, especially people who do lots of business activities, then we could harm our planet in a very negative way. So yes, I think we need to combine our studies, our personal activities with the influence towards climate change.
Okay, and Peter, what do you think? Is it real?
Well, I have nothing to say. I agree with what Kaiyue had said before. So I think that is more related to responsibility. I think that everyone must be aware about this situation. And well, we must, as George said before, also we must prepare the ground now to build a better future for our next generation. I think that it's the best what we have to do now.
Okay, and I personally think it's real too, because, for example, if I'm not even looking into the scientific facts, in the Netherlands, it's always was snowing in the winter. Like for the last 2 years, it ain't even snowing anymore. The summers get way hotter, and like we said before, there are a lot of fires. So if we really look into only the news, we can see it's really real, and it considers everybody, the whole world, like everything that lives. So I really think it's real. And our audience, Georgie, do you think it's real?
Yes, yeah, as I mentioned before, I think climate change is indeed very real, and I think we should take action right now. So even though I heard a lot of examples about how you can, decrease your carbon impact on the environment, decrease and to really improve that part. So I think you said it. It's the little steps that eventually can become a big step and a big change. What we as individuals do, and I think that it's really and I think that is really good. It's a good initiative also, and I do believe if there are famous people that are now raising a lot of awareness concerning climate change.
That's
And
true.
I think there's a good change in it, and I think that people are getting more aware of it now.
Exactly. Every small bit matters, like you said. Um, and Georgina, do you think it's real?
Yeah, I definitely think it's real. Just like the examples that you already gave, there are definitely ways that we can tell that it's real, just like the temperature rising or the icebergs melting. So I definitely think it's real.
Okay, and the media?
I also think it's real, yeah, and that we need to change something about it.
Okay, well, that was our little interview. I want to thank everybody for their opinion